Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here. Today on the 2-game early slate, as well as the 5-game main slate on Saturday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports slates. If you guys enjoy right now all the free content, the easiest way to support me is hit or leave a like button on the video, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And hit that notification bell. Currently, right now, 4.11 thousand subscribers. My goal right now is to hit 5K by the end of the month. We'll see if that can happen. Again, the easiest way to support me is doing those things and spread the word. If you have friends that play DFS and you like the content and you're getting good stuff out of it, you're making some money, so just spread the word. I'd really appreciate that. And if you can't listen to the YouTube videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description below. It's just the DK DFS show. All right, let's get into it. Before we get into the 2-game slate, early slate, and the 5-game main slate, which I think actually are better slates than today, because today we're basically completely guessing besides like Harden. Let's go over my lineup here. I'm going to keep the tilts to 1 minute. I know you guys don't want to hear me like complain the whole time, so 1 minute of tilting, ready, go. All right, Aaron Holiday was amazing play. No Brogdon, no TJ Warren. Great spot against Houston. Shot the ball like 1 of 15. And to top it all off, he doesn't close because he was playing so bad, and they closed with chalk TJ McConnell. I didn't think TJ McConnell was a terrible play, but he was like 50% owned. If Aaron Holiday closes the game, which he has been in like every single game, McConnell only plays 15 minutes. So that just adds that's like rubbing salt in the wound, right? Holiday playing that bad that they closed with chalk McConnell. People get bailed out who played McConnell. Yeah, that really got under my. That really pissed me off a bit. Embiid. So the minutes monitor quote. I hate that quote, but it sounds like he actually got injured, and it wasn't his knee or ankle. It looks like he jammed his wrist, so he actually got injured. I think the plan was for them to play pretty normal minutes. Like there's no minutes restriction, according to Brett Brown. I think we probably would have got close to 30 minutes from Embiid. Fortunately, he got injured. Whatever. Goran Dragic was a guy I was really high on, currently at almost 25 fantasy points right now in the second quarter, so he's on pace to absolutely crush. Hope you guys played him as well. Duncan Robinson was actually just kind of a filler piece, and the reason I got him was just because I was already down with the Embiid injury and Aaron Holiday, so I knew I had to take a shot somewhere. I was like, you know what, Duncan, he can get hot behind the three-point line. Currently looking good, so if he keeps up this pace, maybe I can still cash even with an injured Embiid and Aaron Holiday was absolutely terrible. With Bull, I actually did just stick with it. I don't even know if he's going to play for sure tonight because Jeremy Grant's back, so that's complete risk by me. But Mike Malone said they're going to run the starters similar minutes, so I don't know. Again, I don't think really I have a shot to cash because of the Embiid injury, and obviously, even though Aaron Holiday was chalky. Really hurt. Mason Plumlee, the reason I went there is, again, starters being limited. I think Plumlee could get over 20 minutes. He's a good point per minute guy. So there it is. That's the tilt. Again, hopefully, I think that was about a minute. That's it for the look back. So enough of talking about that gross 4-game slate. I actually think these slates are a lot better today. So with 2 days left in the regular season, let's first go over the early slate. They have a 10K to first tournament. We don't have any of the Vegas lines out yet, or at least I don't see. That's the Portland Nets game. It's the only game they have out for some reason, which is the late game, which is a little bit weird. Washington, Boston, Sacramento, Atlanta. I'm just going to go team by team really quick. Washington. So they still played their starters. Now, the starters got less minutes. Thomas Bryant only played 23 that last game. They have nothing to play for now. Rui Hachimura only played 26. Ish Smith came off the bench, I think played 22. Robinson played 29. Troy Brown Jr. actually started at point guard, still only played 29 minutes. It looks like Shabazz is now back too. Again, that kind of just extended the bench, right? So guys like Jaren Grant got 21 minutes. Normally he was the guy that didn't play a whole lot. I think Jared Uthoff got in there. Yeah, he played 12 minutes. So this is kind of ugly if they're going to continue this trend. Gary Payton didn't play. Jonathan Williams then got in there, for 4 minutes. Moag played a decent amount. He played 21 minutes. Like, I think he's a viable punt at mid price that not a lot of people get to. I think Schofield played as well. He had 24 minutes. So not looking good, Washington, if they're going to continue this trend of just play the starters like 25 minutes each, and then the bench guys like 24, 25 minutes each. So really not great. I think this is a slate for sure. You can leave a lot of salary on the table. You can definitely leave like 5 to 10K on the table if you really wanted to. Now, if it was going to target someone on Washington, it probably would just be those main guys. So Thomas Bryant, Trey Brown, maybe Jerome Robinson. I think those guys are the most upside, and just hope they get maybe 30 minutes. Again, I really don't think price matters on the slate, so you just want to go with the guys who you think have the most upside. So really, again, I don't think price matters at all. You just play the best possible play. So those are the 3 guys, and maybe Mo Wagner too, that I would consider for Washington. Let's go to Boston. So Boston's resting a lot of guys. Tice Smart, Kemba, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown with nothing to play for. But they still have a good amount of guys on their team, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They still have 11 active players. It's kind of crazy. It's a good matchup. So I'll mention a few guys. Wanamaker's okay. I think he'll garner a lot of ownership. I think he's solid, but I probably prefer Javonte Green. I think he has a little bit more upside. Hasn't been playing as much in the regular season, but I mean, if you look at that Brooklyn game, 7 minutes, 15 fantasy points. Toronto, 9 minutes, 16 fantasy points. Like, he has pretty high upside when he gets the time. So I kind of like Javonte Green. I assume we get at least 20 minutes from him. The other guy I want to mention, Carson Edwards, is 3-1. He's a guy that can put the ball in the bucket. He has a lot of upside, right, if he's shooting the ball well. So those 2 guards I kind of like here for Boston. And then the bigs, they still have a good amount of bigs. So they still have Enes Kanter, Robert Williams. Could be Taco season. Taco Fall will probably get in the rotation. And Poirier, I believe, let's see, we'll take paternity leave. Okay, so I think he is still on the roster too. So they technically still have 4 centers, which is not great. But, I think Robert Williams, Kanter, and Taco Fall are all in play. Now, Kanter does worry me because he's a veteran. I could see him maybe not even playing in this one. But if he does play and he gets like 15, 20 minutes, he could really crush that salary. So I think the safest right now is Robert Williams. 19, 11, 15, and 14 minutes the last 4 games. He's a guy that has huge upside, an amazing point per minute guy. So I do really like Robert Williams. You could go to Taco Fall. I think he will get minutes today. How many? Again, it's a question mark, so they do have 4 centers. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here for Boston. I think Wanamaker's fine. The guards that I have interest in, Javonte Green, Carson Edwards. I think Robert Williams looks really good. Kanter, a little bit more up in the air because he's a veteran. You could take a shot on Taco Fall too. So that's it for Boston. Let's move on to Sacramento. So Sacramento, nothing to play for. But they still, besides, they sat out Fox, Holmes, and Bazemore, who I think are all out again. Will not play. Holmes is out. I believe Bazemore is confirmed out too, and Fox is out. I thought there's a chance maybe they'll just give the young guys a run. No. Bogdan started and played 38 minutes. If we get that again, I think he's a really, really good play here at 6'4" with no Fox, even in the match against the Lakers. I do really like Bogdan. Bjelica, shake my head, man. Luke Walton is just completely trolling me. That game against Houston, I thought, he has a lot of upside. Small ball, it works really well for Bjelica to play the 5. He plays him 5 minutes. In a meaningless game that doesn't matter against the Pelicans, he plays him 33 minutes. Whew. Yeah, so obviously you guys can tell I do not like Luke Walton. But 33 minutes out of Bjelica. Who knows if he gets that again. Again, they have nothing to play for. I think he's fine. He can hit those threes. Buddy Hield, I don't know if I get to him. Harrison Barnes had a good game. I think he had 43 fantasy points. I'm not going to chase that. I would just prefer Bogdan first and then maybe some value. Len got in some foul trouble, 3-7. Only played 15 minutes. He is a solid point per minute guy, though. Giles is the guy I recommended. He went for a double-double in 25 minutes. I think he has some good upside as a value play. Corey Joseph started and played huge minutes, 37 minutes. Do we see that again? Or maybe we see guys like Yogi Ferrell, Kyle Guy get in the rotation. I think that's possible, right? And then Jabari Parker, last guy I'll mention, because he's the guy that when he gets time is really, really productive. In 12 minutes against Houston, went for 21 fantasy points. He has that type of upside. The big question mark is how many minutes does he get in this game? Lastly, Lakers. Lakers right now, big news is Anthony Davis is questionable. If LeBron plays, I assume the Lakers are going to get the normal run because that last game, in a meaningless game against Denver, absolutely nothing. They already had the 1 seed locked up. They were playing against backups, and they still ran them into the ground for 38 minutes. So I assume they're going to get the normal run. Again, if that's the case, obviously LeBron is your top spot up, especially if AD is out. Would also like Kuzma, even at an elevated price point, if AD is out, because the offense is going to run through LeBron. It's going to run through Kuzma. Kuzma's been shooting the ball well. So, yeah, probably just plug those two guys in if AD is out. The value of the Lakers, now it gets a little bit tricky because they're still so deep. Like, Waiters is at 4-5. Could play 25 minutes. I think he's fine. Dwight Howard intrigues me a little bit. Wasn't some foul trouble play. Could play somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes. I think he's okay for value. That's about it, though, for me. I think that's who I would consider. McGee, how many minutes did he play last game? Still played 16. Okay. I mean, he's min-price. Sure, you can consider him. So, obviously, there's a lot of different ways you can go, and we're still waiting for some news. But that's the early slate for you. I think the main slate probably looks a little bit better than the early slate. So let's talk about the 5-game main slate right now. All right, I'm on the right slate, right? Yep. Okay. So let's go game by game here, and I'll kind of tell you guys what I'm thinking. So Milwaukee, Memphis. On the Milwaukee side, they have nothing to play for. Giannis is already suspended 1 game. I think there's a good chance they rest a lot of their guys, but we'll see. So I think we could get some value there in Milwaukee. Memphis, they have to win. So, their players are going to get their normal run. Dallas and Phoenix. Dallas, I believe, can still move up in the standings. I think. I should have confirmed that before coming on, but actually, let me do that right now. I think they still can. Let me see. So they are currently the 7 seed. No, they're a game and a half back. I think they might be locked into the 7 seed, which would worry me a bit with their minutes. So we'll see. Porzingis' status is up in the air, too. Again, we'll talk about that more in a sec. So Dallas, I guess, maybe a little bit undecided on what the Stars could do with the minutes. Phoenix, they have to win. So we know we're going to get huge minutes from Booker, even at elevated price point. We know we're going to get huge minutes from DeAndre Ayton. San Antonio, they also have to win. It's a tougher spot, but DeRozan, Murray, White, they should get extended here. Utah, they're already rested some guys. They have nothing really to play for. So the last time Utah played, too, their starters only played a first half. So it worries me targeting the Utah guys. Portland, again, they have to win as well. So Lillard, even at 11-2, I think you got to consider him. Nurkic was a huge letdown for me, but I think he's certainly in play as a bounce-back spot. CJ been dealing with injuries, but again, he's viable. So the starters are going to play huge for Portland. Brooklyn, they don't have anything to play for, but they've been resting their starters every other game, and when they do play, they've been locked into the 7 seed for a little bit. When they do play, LeVert, Allen, Joe Harris have all been playing huge minutes. So I think we probably get the same again, which makes these Brooklyn guys more in play. But I think, again, it is a little bit risky since they don't have a lot, or they're basically just locked into that 7 seed. Pelicans, they're resting some guys. I think there could be some value there. And the Magic, they have nothing to play for. We'll see. Possibly could be some more value if Vucevic, maybe Markelle Fultz end up resting. So let's get to Milwaukee first. Again, we have no Giannis Antetokounmpo at 10-6. He got suspended for that headbutt. This is a tricky one. Again, they have nothing to play for. Middleton in that last game only played 25 minutes. I wouldn't get to the Milwaukee studs. I wouldn't get to Middleton and Bledsoe even if they play, because I think they would still only play 25 minutes. So I'm kind of hoping they rest a lot of their guys. I think it was the last game last year. They rested so many guys that they only had a 7 or 8 man rotation. I'm kind of hoping we get that because let's just say again, obviously we know Giannis out. Let's just say Middleton, Bledsoe, Brolo, George Hill, DiVincenzo, Ilyasova, Wes Matthews, Korver are all out. Then again, a guy I mentioned that last video, Frank Mason, I stuck with him in 8 or did they not have it up? No, they don't have it up because he went for 40 fantasy points. That's kind of weird. They don't have his stats up, but he went for 19 points, 5 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals in 22 minutes. If Milwaukee ends up resting a lot of guys, I'm going right back to the well of Frank Mason. He is just a guy that's going to put the ball in the bucket. I would also have interest in Pat C if he does play again. This is making a lot of assumptions, but assuming a lot of guys rest from Milwaukee and Pat C plays, those would probably be the 2 guys I would like the most. Followed, I think Sterling Brown would become viable, and then I think a guy like DJ Wilson, even Giannis Antetokounmpo. Seriously, he played 19 minutes at 25 fantasy points. I think he would be certainly in play. DJ Wilson. So I think this is where we could get value if Milwaukee does end up resting some guys. Let's go to Memphis. So Memphis, they have to win. They could be playing against a lot of backups. If that's the case, I think it makes them a little bit more viable, right? Because Milwaukee is normally pretty solid defensively. John Morant, 41 and 42 minutes. He's just playing enormous minutes. The price is way up. But if Milwaukee ends up resting a lot of those guys, he would be playing against a lot of second and third stringers even. So I think he's in play, and I think he's someone that would be very low owned as a spend up. Right now, I think like the chalk spend ups are going to be Lillard, Luka, and Devin Booker. I think that those guys are going to eat up so much ownership that a guy like John Morant goes under the radar. But again, Memphis, they have to win. So he's going to play huge minutes and could be matched up against like second and third stringers. JV, the minutes have been up and down on him. Wasn't in foul trouble. Still only played 25 minutes. I mean, that's always the word. You just never know what we're going to get with JV minutes-wise. He could play 25. He could play 35. If he does hit that higher end, he has potential to crush. But even in games again, they have to win. The minutes still are up in the air with him. So he's a risky target for sure. Dylan Brooks has been shooting the ball a ton. Shot the ball 15 times. Again, my worry with him is he is very scoring dependent. The 5.5 price, I don't think I'm going to get to him. I get it if you do it, but probably not for me. Brandon Clark, the minutes have been solid on him, but still, I don't know if we have to do it. I really think this slate against sets up for the stars and scrubs. The guys in the mid-range, it's going to make it me hard to recommend them, and that's really it for Memphis. So let's move on to Dallas. Dallas, I think they're locked in right into the 7th seed, which does worry me at the minutes. We probably will get clarity on this before lock, but Porzingis is questionable. If Luka plays and gets his normal minutes with no Kristaps Porzingis, he could have an amazing day in this matchup against Phoenix, even at 11-4. So, yeah, I would really like him if he does play his normal minutes. I think that they are a little bit more in question now that, though, they don't have a whole lot to play for. Porzingis, if he plays at 8-8, I think goes under the radar for spend-ups. Right? I think Lillard, I think Devin Booker are going to eat up so much ownership up top that some of these other guys are going to fly under the radar. Porzingis is one of those guys if he does play. I'm not going to get to THJ at 6K. I don't think I'd get to the guards either. But if Kristaps is out, I think Kleber's probable. If Kristaps is out, I mean, they could start Boban at center, and he would be viable. He played 25 minutes the last game he started when Kristaps was out, went for 40 fantasy points. Now, sure, the minutes are a little bit more up in the air, but what we do know is Phoenix, I mean, Ayton's going to play huge minutes, so I don't really think Dallas can run small ball. Sure, they could run Kleber out there a little bit more, but could make them possibly in play those bigs. And that's really it for Dallas. Let's move on to Phoenix. Phoenix, even at 9-8, I think Booker just is someone you have to consider. He's going to be very popular. I mean, right now, he is just taking over for the Suns. This is a must-win game. So he's going to play enormous minutes. I think he could push for 40 to maybe even 45. I wouldn't be surprised even if he plays the whole game, to be honest. They have to win. He's been shooting the ball amazing, doing it all. Rebounds, assists, scoring the ball. His shot right now is on point. So I know 9-8 feels like a lot to pay for Devin Booker, but what you're going to get out of him is the minute security. And again, it's desperation mode for the Suns. They have to win. So he's overpriced for sure, but he could still get you there on this slate. DeAndre Ayton at 8-1 is an interesting play because he is going to go under the radar in my opinion. Again, I think Lillard, even at an elevated price, and Booker at an elevated price. And I think Doncic, if Porzingis is out. Like, those three are going to eat up so much ownership at the top that a guy like DeAndre Ayton is going to go low owned. But he can still have, this guy has 50-plus fantasy point upside. Now, sure, we haven't really seen it a lot recently because Booker's just been taking over. I think Booker probably, even at 9-8, is the safer play. But if you get to Ayton, again, that's more of a contrarian play. I'll talk about it with Portland. That didn't really work out for me when I went Nurkic over Lillard to get contrarian. Obviously, when Lillard went for 80 and Nurkic was in foul trouble and had his worst game, his low floor game. We haven't seen that in a while from Nurkic since he came back. Rubio's at 7-3. He got more minutes. Still only 28. I mean, the worry with him is they're still giving Javon Carter and campaign minutes in games they have to win. So Rubio's not playing 35 minutes. A 7-3 price point. I'm not going to get to him there. And that's really it for me. I'm not going to consider Bridges, Sarge, or Cam Johnson. Don't think we have to do it. Again, Payne, Carter, these guys are still getting decent run, but I'm not going to go there. I think there's better value in other games. So That's it for me. Again, I think it's Booker that looks good even at a 9-8 price point. I think Ayton makes for an interesting contrarian play at 8-1. Let's move on to the Spurs. Spurs also have to win. They need to win and they need help too to get into the playoffs. DeMar DeRozan's at 8-1. Still though, I mean he's not going to play the huge. I mean even again these games have been must-win situations for the Spurs, and Pop still is not giving him a huge run. It's not really the best spot against Utah, so this is just a super contrarian play as a spend up. I just don't think I'm going to get to DeRozan. Murray and White, when they're both healthy, they're both fine. I think they both probably get over 30 minutes. Again, it's not the best spot, and it makes it a little bit tricky at their respective prices. So, and then Rudy Gay at 5-7, I'm not going to get to him. Jakob Poeltl 5-7. Gosh, I really do hate this guy because I played him so many times since the return. He's gotten foul trouble, missed out on huge minutes every time. And of course, the game against Houston, he stays out of foul trouble and goes for 35 fantasy points. He would have played more too if that game didn't blow out. So I think we normally get over 30 minutes from Jakob Poeltl, and there's no Rudy Gobert here. So Poeltl's interesting at 5-7 if he can keep his hands to himself. But again, the price point makes him a little bit tricky to get to on the slate. Keldon Johnson's a guy I've talked about since the return of the bubble. He's a guy that does have upside, but the game did blow out, so I think he got extended a bit because of that. I would not expect 44 again. The price went up, so I'm going to let others chase. Lonnie Walker, a little bit too expensive too at 4 or 5 for me. So that's it. Let's move on to Utah. Utah, I think there's some a really, really good value play here we'll talk about in a sec. Gobert and Conley are out. Obviously, no Bojan too. Mitchell and Ingles, I'm not going to get to them. I'm really worried we get the same thing as that last game for the Jazz where the starters only played the first half. So I'm not getting to Mitchell. I'm not getting to Ingles. I'm not getting to Clarkson even at 5-2. I think there's a decent chance the same thing. Right? I think he starts with Mitchell and Ingles. I think they only play the first half. So I'm not going to take a shot there. The guy that really stands out to me, really, I think is currently, the best value play of the day, Tony Bradley, 3-4. Yes, it's Tony Bradley season. When Gobert is out, this guy crushes when he gets time. Summer League star, I was all over him in the Summer League. Even the preseason in some games when Gobert's been out. Tony Bradley is a guy that if he gets like 25-plus minutes, don't be surprised if he goes for 40-plus fantasy points. So love Tony Bradley here. I think he's your top value at the moment. Now, sure, again, potentially value in other games could open up. But right now, Tony Bradley is a guy that I absolutely love with no Rudy Gobert. I guess the slight concern is that last game where Gobert was out, they actually started Ed Davis. I don't think Ed Davis will play huge minutes. And maybe if you're making 20 lineups and obviously Tony Bradley's going to be super chalky, you could maybe play Ed Davis in 1 and just hope Bradley gets in foul trouble, and then Ed Davis would clearly be the beneficiary. Because Ed Davis is a solid point per minute guy too. Not as good as Tony Bradley, but in my opinion, again, Bradley's going to be the ultimate chalk right now. And if you're making a lot of lineups, maybe throw Ed Davis in 1 and just hope Bradley gets in some foul trouble. The value with again, I'm not going to go to Royce O'Neal either. Moutier's at 3-3. I mean, he's a guy that is interesting actually. If we don't get a lot of value opening up, again, I assume the starters only play a half, so I think Moutier would start at point guard in the second half. I think he could get 25-plus minutes. He was actually intriguing at that price. Niang, another guy that would get, I still only played 15. Who else did they run? Was it Oni, I think, got run, but I wouldn't go there. Morgan, I think, got some decent run. Yeah, all in all, Brantley, I think, got decent minutes too. But really, for me, clearly right now, the guy that stands out is Tony Bradley. He's my favorite play. You could get a little bit different to go to Moutier. Again, I assume the starters only play the first half based off the last game. And then Ed Davis, if you're making a lot of lineups, you could pivot off of a chalky Bradley. Next, Portland and Brooklyn. So this is a game you're going to want exposure to. Definitely, you can feel a little bit more confident targeting the Portland side. But I think there's a decent chance the Brooklyn guys get their normal run. So let's first talk about Portland. Obviously, Lillard is overpriced at 11-2. But that last game, he went for 70 fantasy points. What you're going to get out of these Blazers is, again, they have to win. You're going to get 40 minutes out of Lillard. You're going to get 40 minutes out of CJ, even though he's been dealing with an injury. You're going to get 35 minutes out of Nurkic. These guys are going to play huge minutes. It's a great matchup, too. So, sure, he's overpriced right now. But again, just like I said with Booker, what you're getting out of him is desperation. They have to win. The minutes are going to be enormous on those guys. So, sure, they are a little bit pricey, but I think there could be a lot of value on the slate that it honestly wouldn't even matter to jam them in, right? Nurkic, I still think he is in play as a pivot, but definitely more risky. Do they not have that last game on there? They don't. I don't know why. But Nurkic had his absolute floor game. He had like 20 fantasy points. Was dealing with a little bit of foul trouble, but that was surprising to me. Now, this is, again, a really good matchup here against Brooklyn. Jared Allen, not a good defender. So Nurkic is going to be like 5% owned. Because, again, in my opinion, I think Lillard, Booker, and possibly Luka, if he plays his full minutes, if Porzingis is out, are going to eat up so much ownership that these other spend-ups make for interesting contrarian plays. Nurkic, when playing well, he can have 50 fantasy point upside. So, Lillard's going to garner so much ownership, even at an elevated price point. I think Nurkic, again, is still in play as a contrarian option. It didn't work out for me the last slate. Maybe it works out this slate. We'll see. CJ, he's been dealing with the back injury. I guess he has like a fracture in his lower back. He's still playing the huge minutes. I think that news coming out is going to lower his ownership even more than it already would have been. So I think we get CJ at below 5% too. Again, if you want to get off a chalky Lillard and maybe just play CJ and Nurkic and hope Lillard has a bad shooting day, I don't think that's the worst idea because it kind of correlates, right? When Lillard has bad games, it's CJ and Nurkic that have the big games. So it actually makes sense for roster construction purposes to do that, but do you want to take that risk? Dame is just in another world right now, so I feel like even at 11-2, it is a very risky fade. Melo's at 6'3". He actually had a decent game, 1 for 35 fantasy points, but I'm not going to pay 6'3" for him. I'm not going to Gary Trent or Whiteside. Collins, I think, got extended a little bit. No, still only 23 minutes. Don't go there. All right, that's it for Portland. Brooklyn, this is a team that's not going to garner any ownership. But again, I think these guys get their normal minutes. I think. There is risk because there's nothing to play for, but they've been resting every other game and, getting about 35 minutes in the games they play. So Karis LeVert is going to go unowned. He just is. Again, Booker, Lillard, Luka right now are going to eat up so much ownership that a guy like LeVert is going to fly way under the radar. If he plays 35 minutes in this matchup, do not be surprised if he goes for 50 plus. Really. So I have interest in LeVert as a contrarian option. Obviously, he's a little bit more risky. Jared Allen, even at 7-5, I think is actually in play. He is playing enormous minutes. And what we know, Portland runs big. So if we get 38 minutes out of Jared Allen, even at 7-5, I know it's kind of crazy, but I think he would still be viable too. Joe Harris at 5'2", he's a little bit more scoring dependent. Again, the price point for him makes it a little bit tricky on this slate. I really don't think you go balance in this one. And that's it. I'm not going to consider any of the value guys. So finally, Pelicans, Magic. This game's a little bit ugly. We have 3 guys already ruled out. Josh Hart, is he questionable? Questionable. I don't think he'll play. Again, they have nothing to play for, so he'll probably sit out. We could get some value here. I mentioned that I thought Favors and J.J. Redick wouldn't play the last game. They did not. Favors did not play. J.J. Redick did not play. So do not play these guys. I don't think they play again in a pointless game. So this could open up some value here. Lonzo at 7-2. That's just too expensive. Again, those other spend-ups I mentioned, I like way more. So I'm not going to pay 7-2 for Lonzo. He's probably going to play 30 minutes. But I think, the value right now is with, obviously, the cheap option. So Etuan Moore's at 3.9. My issue with him is he's a little bit more scoring dependent. I think I would rather get to the guys below him, and he's more of a veteran. So the guys I like, Frank Jackson at 3.5. One for 25 minutes, 26 fantasy points. I think he could get extended even more. NAW. Yes, guys, NAW. The preseason GOAT. Won me so much money in the preseason. I think he could get extended even more in this one. Maybe 30 plus for Frank Jackson at NAW, especially if Josh Hart is out. And maybe they just rest Lonzo too. If that's the case, then again, you're going to want some Pelican exposure. It's NAW. It's Frank Jackson for me right now. Melly and Jackson Hayes had really bad games. They shot the ball terribly. Melly, 1 of 10. Jackson Hayes didn't play a whole lot of minutes because they gave the minutes to Jahlil Okafor. So they still have 3 healthy bigs. And Okafor off the bench played amazing. 26 minutes, 31 fantasy points. Like, he's a really good offensive player, really good point per minute guy. So the worry is they kind of do have a 3-headed monster right now with the big. So the minutes are a little bit more in question there. I'm interested to see what they do with the starting lineup. I think Okafor is a viable punt option. I don't think I get to Kenrich Williams at 3-1. Again, I would just rather target NAW, Frank Jackson, the better offensive players. Sindarius Thornwell got some decent run, but They don't have that last game. He went for. I know he got minutes. I don't have it in there. But yeah, really. So right now, for me, I think it's NAW. It's Frank Jackson, and possibly one of those bigs, depending on who starts for the guys that I'm targeting for the Pelicans. Lastly, Magic. So Magic, they have nothing to play for. It is a good spot, but does Vucevic play? I don't know. I mean, he did only play 21 minutes in that last game. I'm not targeting him at 9-1. There's absolutely no way. We have Gordon out, Fournier out, Ross out, Isaac out. Augustine, I don't think plays. No reason to go to him. Fultz at 5-2. Did only play 22 minutes. I don't know. It just worries me a little bit with them having nothing to play for. And Fultz is a guy that will be in the playoff rotation. So do they want to risk playing him in this last game? Possibly not. If that's the case, then if they end up resting, let's just say they end up resting Augustine, Fultz, and Vucevic. Then the Magic have a pretty tight rotation, right? Mo Bamba, I think could be in play at min price. Got a young guy, like he could get extended. I mean, you have some interesting plays down here, like Frazier, I think could be in play. I think Vic Law, Bryce Johnson. So depending on if they end up resting these guys, these like value options could be a little bit more viable. Kem Birch, like he's a solid point per minute guy. He played 27 minutes, like he would be very, very viable, especially if Vucevic is out. So right now, it's kind of dependent on if they end up starting or resting their starters. If Vucevic, Fultz, and Augustine play, I'm probably just going to stay away from the Magic. So I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I am going to be live for the main slate, not the early slate, but I will be live for the 5-game main slate, probably 45 minutes before lock, 30 to 45 minutes before lock. So be sure to check out the live stream, guys. I'll go over all the news that we get. I'm assuming, again, we're going to get a lot of news. Answer any questions you guys have, give you guys kind of, GPP plays, who I'm looking at. Again, I don't think I would play cash on these slates. But yeah, that's really going to wrap it up, guys. So thanks again for everyone to come in and check out the video. Hope you guys have a good day. If you are interested in PGA content, there's a tournament tomorrow. I do have a video up for that. But yeah, thanks again, guys, and I will see you all in the live stream tomorrow.